Alan looked at me with sulky, cunning eyes and said, "A curious construction could be put upon that letter." "No doubt, no doubt," I replied lightly. "Art is not intelligible to the criminal classes." He looked me in the face defiantly and said, "A man has offered me £60 for it." "You should take the offer," I said gravely. £60 is a great price. I myself have never received such a large sum for any prose work of that length. But I am glad to find that there is someone in England who will pay such a large sum for a letter of mine. I don't know why you come to me," I added, rising. "You should sell the letter at once." Of course, Frank, as I spoke my body seemed empty with fear. The letter could be misunderstood, and I have so many envious enemies. But I felt that there was nothing else for it but bluff. As I went to the door, Alan rose too, and said that the man who had offered him the money was out of town. I turned to him and said, "He will no doubt return, and I don't care for the letter at all." At this Alan changed his manner, said he was very poor. He hadn't a penny in the world, and had spent a lot trying to find me and tell me about the letter. I told him I did not mind relieving his distress, and gave him half a sovereign, assuring him at the same time that the letter would shortly be published as a sonnet in a delightful magazine. I went to the door with him, and he walked away. I closed the door, but didn't shut it at once, for suddenly I heard a policeman's step coming softly towards my house. Pad, pad. A dreadful moment. Then he passed by. I went into the room again all shaken, wondering whether I had done right, whether Alan would hawk the letter about, 1,000 vague apprehensions. Suddenly a knock at the street door. My heart was in my mouth, still I went and opened it. A man named Cliburn was there. "I have come to you with a letter of Alan's." "I cannot be bothered any more," I cried, "about that letter. I don't care twopence about it. Let him do what he likes with it." To my astonishment, Cliburn said, "Alan has asked me to give it back to you," and he produced it. "Why does he give it back to me?" I asked carelessly. "He says you were kind to him, and that it is no use trying to rent you. You only laugh at us." I looked at the letter. It was very dirty, and I said, "I think it is unpardonable that better care should not have been taken of a manuscript of mine." He said he was sorry, but it had been in many hands. I took the letter up casually. "Well, I will accept the letter back. You can thank Mr. Allen for me." I gave Cliburn half a sovereign for his trouble, and said to him, "I am afraid you are leading a desperately wicked life." "There's good and bad in every one of us," he replied. I said something about his being a philosopher, and he went away. That's the whole story, Frank. "But the letter?" I questioned. "The letter is nothing," Oscar replied. "A prose poem. I will give you a copy of it." Here is the letter. "My own boy, your sonnet is quite lovely, and it is a marvel that those red rose-leaf lips of yours should be made no less for the madness of music and song than for the madness of kissing. Your slim-gilt soul walks between passion and poetry. No Hyacinthus followed love so madly as you in Greek days. Why are you alone in London? And when do you go to Salisbury? Do go there and cool your hands in the grey twilight of Gothic things. Come here whenever you like. It is a lovely place and only lacks you. Do go to Salisbury first. Always with undying love. Yours, Oscar. This letter startled me. Slim guilt and the madness of kissing were calculated to give one pause. But after all, I thought, it may be merely an artist's letter, half pose, half passionate admiration. Another thought struck me. "But how did such a letter," I cried, "ever get into the hands of a blackmailer?" "I don't know," he replied, shrugging his shoulders. "Lord Alfred Douglas is very careless and inconceivably bold. You should know him, Frank. He's a delightful poet." "But how did he come to know a creature like Wood?" I persisted. "How can I tell, Frank?" he answered a little shortly, and I let the matter drop, though it left me in a certain doubt, an uncomfortable suspicion. The scandal grew from hour to hour, and the tide of hatred rose in surges. One day I was lunching at the Savoy, and while talking to the head waiter, Cesare, who afterwards managed the Elysee Palace Hotel in Paris, I thought I saw Oscar and Douglas go out together. Being a little short-sighted, I asked, "Isn't that Mr. Oscar Wilde?" "Yes," said Cesare, "and Lord Alfred Douglas. We wish they would not come here. It does us a lot of harm." "How do you mean?" I asked sharply. "Some people don't like them," the quick Italian answered immediately. "Oscar Wilde," I remarked casually, "is a great friend of mine." But the supersubtle Italian was already warned. "A clever writer, I believe," smiling in bland acquiescence. This incident gave me warning, strengthened again in me the exact apprehension and suspicion which the Douglas letter had bred. Oscar, I knew, was too self-centred, went about too continually with admirers, to have any understanding of popular feeling. He would be the last man to realize how fiercely hate, malice and envy were raging against him. I wanted to warn him, but hardly knew how to do it effectively and without offence. I made up my mind to keep my eyes open and watch for an opportunity. A little later I gave a dinner at the Savoy and asked him to come. He was delightful, his vivacious gaiety as exhilarating as wine. But he was more like a Roman emperor than ever. He had grown fat, he ate and drank too much. Not that he was intoxicated, but he became flushed, and in spite of his gay and genial talk, he affected me a little unpleasantly. He was gross and puffed up. But he gave one or two splendid snapshots of actors and their egregious vanity. It seemed to him a great pity that actors should be taught to read and write. They should learn their pieces from the lips of the poet. "Just as work is the curse of the drinking classes of this country," he said, laughing, "so education is the curse of the acting classes." Yet even when making fun of the mummers there was a new tone in him of arrogance and disdain. He used always to be genial and kindly, even to those he laughed at. Now he was openly contemptuous. The truth is that his extraordinarily receptive mind went with an even more abnormal receptivity of character. Unlike most men of marked ability, he took colour from his associates. In this, as in love of courtesies and dislike of coarse words, he was curiously feminine. Intercourse with Beardsley, for example, had